In 2025, over 600,000 homes across the UK are sitting empty, while thousands of people remain homeless. Sounds unbelievable, right? But it's real. Entire neighbourhoods that were once lively are now eerily silent. Some cities are losing residents faster than they can count. The question is, what's driving this? Is it just bad luck, or is something deeper going on? The truth is, the UK is facing a housing crisis like never before. Not because we don't have enough homes, but because people can't afford to live in them, or don't want to live where they are. Jobs are vanishing, businesses are collapsing, and families are fleeing from towns that no longer offer a future. In this video, we're uncovering the 10 UK cities that are quietly turning into ghost towns. We'll explore what's really happening behind the headlines, from housing markets that have crashed overnight to local economies bleeding out slowly over years. And if you think this doesn't affect you, think again. Some of these cities were thriving just a decade ago. What happened to them could happen anywhere. So stay with us. You might be surprised to find your own town on this list. Number 10. Burnley, England. Once a booming mill town in the heart of Lancashire, Burnley is now facing a dramatic decline, and it's happening fast. Back in the early 20th century, Burnley was one of the world's largest producers of cotton cloth. Its mills ran day and night, and the town's skyline was dotted with chimneys puffing out industrial success. But today those chimneys are mostly silent, and the town that once bustled with workers is eerily quiet. The long-term fallout of deindustrialization hit Burnley hard. Its economy never fully recovered from the loss of textile manufacturing, and now, in 2025, it's suffering from something even worse: irrelevance in a modern, tech-driven world. Tech jobs go elsewhere, and young professionals are moving to larger urban centres with better infrastructure and opportunity. In the last decade, Burnley's population has shrunk, with thousands of residents leaving in search of better lives. As job prospects dried up, particularly for younger generations, families started fleeing, leaving behind row after row of vacant properties. Today, over 12% of the housing stock stands empty, which is one of the highest vacancy rates in the UK. And it's not just about jobs. Burnley now faces a cocktail of issues: rising crime, underfunded public services, and a declining high street where shuttered shops outnumber open ones. What's worse is the stigma. People don't want to move there, and those who live there often feel stuck. This has pushed property prices into a tailspin. Shockingly, some homes are now selling for under £30,000. That's less than a new family car. Despite some local efforts to revive the area with regeneration plans and investment schemes, many fear the damage may already be irreversible. The big question remains, can Burnley bounce back, or is it already too far gone? Number 9. Sunderland, England. Sunderland, once a powerhouse of shipbuilding and heavy industry, is quietly becoming a shadow of its former self. During its industrial peak, Sunderland built more ships than any other city in the world. Its docks were alive with energy and pride. But since the collapse of the shipbuilding industry, the city has struggled to find a new identity. And in 2025, the struggle is more visible than ever. Retail closures have gutted the high street. What was once a thriving commercial centre is now filled with empty shops and to let signs. Major employers have downsized or relocated. Amazon's local warehouse cut hundreds of jobs in late 2024, dealing another blow to the fragile local economy. Young people are leaving. With limited career opportunities and a nightlife that's faded, Sunderland is losing its future generation. The student population at the local university has declined, and many who come to study here don't stay. It's a slow but steady brain drain. Housing has followed the same path. Properties are standing empty for months, sometimes years. Entire neighbourhoods now feel lifeless, and the demand just isn't there. Some landlords are abandoning their homes altogether, unwilling or unable to maintain them in a market that's gone cold. Despite efforts to revive the city with waterfront developments and cultural projects, the scale of decline is hard to ignore. The soul of Sunderland hasn't disappeared, but it's flickering. Is Sunderland heading toward a total shutdown of community life? Or is there still a way back? We want to hear from you. Have you seen this change happening in Sunderland, or somewhere else like it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next episode on the UK's silent housing collapse. Number 8. Aberdeen, Scotland. Think of Aberdeen and you might picture wealth, oil rigs and energy giants. But in 2025, that image is cracking, and underneath it lies a city struggling to redefine itself. Aberdeen thrived for decades as the oil capital of Europe. The jobs were high-paying, the streets were buzzing, and property values soared. But oil is no longer the king it once was. As the world pivots toward renewables, Aberdeen's golden age is dimming. Energy giants have cut back operations. Some have moved entirely, thousands of skilled workers gone. This isn't your typical urban decay story. Aberdeen's fall is more subtle, it's a quiet erosion. Wealth still exists here, but it's unevenly spread. The inner city and suburbs tell two different stories. In the centre, rows of once expensive flats are now empty. Prices have slipped dramatically. New construction sits unsold. Estate agents whisper what no one wants to admit. The boom is over. Walk through parts of the city, and you'll see buildings with fresh paint, manicured lawns, and for sale signs that haven't moved in months. It's a strange paradox. The infrastructure is there, the beauty is there, but the energy is fading. There's a stillness, an absence, like a party that ended and no one told you. For a while it looked like tech and education could take the lead. But the transition hasn't been smooth. Young talent trained in Aberdeen often takes their degrees and heads elsewhere. London, Edinburgh, abroad. The city invests in education but gets little back in return. The result? A city in limbo. Not poor, but not thriving. Not abandoned, but increasingly hollow. Aberdeen isn't collapsing overnight. It's quietly leaking life. A slow-motion fade-out that's hard to spot, until you stop and look around and realize just how many people are missing, and how few are planning to come back. Number 7. Bradford, England. Bradford is a city of contrasts, beautiful Victorian buildings, a culturally rich population, and deep economic scars that just won't heal. In the 19th century, Bradford was one of the wealthiest cities in Britain, dubbed the wool capital of the world. But fast forward to 2025, and the legacy industries are long gone. The textile mills are empty. The once grand city centre feels tired, and the city's housing crisis reflects that slow decline. Bradford has one of the youngest populations in the UK, but ironically, it's also one of the cities young people are most eager to leave. Why? Because the opportunities haven't kept up with the potential. For every new housing development, there are blocks of flats and terraces standing half empty. Vacancy rates are creeping upward, and not just in the outskirts, even central areas are seeing people move out. Education is another sore spot. Local schools have faced criticism and funding shortages, which combined with limited job prospects, make it tough to convince families to settle down here. Healthcare wait times have also stretched, adding to the daily strain. Access to reliable services, the very things that make cities livable, is becoming harder to find. Meanwhile, the cost of living keeps rising, but wages haven't followed. That leaves many stuck, not just financially but emotionally. You can see it in the boarded-up shops, in the derelict pubs, in the graffiti that no one bothers to clean, in the silence of empty streets that should be full of life. Regeneration projects come and go. Some help, most don't. Big promises are made and then forgotten. The community wants change, but it's exhausted by cycles of hype and disappointment. Bradford isn't a ghost town yet, but parts of it feel like they're getting close. It's a place hanging in the balance, where a single push could determine whether it rises again or fades into quiet decline. Number 6. Newport, Wales. Newport should be booming. It's just 12 miles from Cardiff, has direct access to the M4 motorway, and sits along the River Usk with a scenic waterfront. And yet, the buzz never really arrived. For years, Newport has been called the next big thing. It had all the ingredients: location, infrastructure, and plenty of space for growth. But something didn't click. Regeneration schemes were launched, some were even completed, but the ripple effects were minimal. The city's core stayed quiet. After Brexit, Newport's economic hopes dimmed even further. Manufacturing and export jobs declined. Logistics businesses tightened their operations. Investors who once circled the city turned their attention elsewhere. As Cardiff thrived, Newport stagnated. Today, that stagnation is visible in its housing market. There are entire blocks of flats where occupancy is patchy at best. Some homes are perfectly livable, but no one's buying. Why? Because Newport's job market hasn't caught up with its housing development. It's a mismatch, and the city is stuck in limbo. This leads to a unique kind of urban decay. Not the crumbling ruins of the industrial age, but brand new buildings with lights off and doors locked. It's eerie, especially at night. Quiet streets, empty car parks, closed cafes. A city that looks alive but feels hollow. Local businesses struggle to stay afloat. Residents commute to Cardiff for work and leisure, leaving Newport without a heartbeat during off hours. The community feels disjointed, like a place people pass through, not live in. Even with tech parks and business hubs being promoted, the city hasn't found its spark. For Newport, the question isn't what went wrong, but why hasn't it worked yet? It's not too late for Newport, but the clock is ticking and the silence is growing louder. If change doesn't arrive soon, the city risks fading into irrelevance. Number 5. Dundee, Scotland. Dundee was once Scotland's comeback kid, a city known for reinventing itself after the fall of traditional industries. It branded itself around gaming, biotech, and digital arts. For a while, it worked, but that momentum, it's fading. Once the home of jute, jam, and journalism, Dundee went through a bold transformation in the 2010s. The V&A Museum opened, headlines declared it Scotland's coolest city, and creative startups popped up across the waterfront. But 2025 paints a different picture. The creative sector wasn't enough to sustain long-term economic growth. The tech bubble didn't burst, it just drifted elsewhere. While cities like Edinburgh and Glasgow grew, Dundee stalled, promising graduates from its universities move out. Job seekers look elsewhere, and a once vibrant housing market is now sluggish. You can feel the stall in its neighbourhoods. Some areas show signs of renewal, but others are riddled with vacant homes and half-empty apartment blocks. The youthful energy that once defined the city has cooled. It's not a collapse, more like a slow retreat. Rent prices have dropped. Landlords are struggling to find long-term tenants. Students are fewer, families are cautious, and young professionals head south. Meanwhile, aging infrastructure in some districts adds to the feeling of stagnation. The new is clashing awkwardly with the old. Even the much-hyped waterfront regeneration project hasn't had the ripple effect many hoped for. It's beautiful, but beauty alone doesn't create jobs or fill homes. Locals whisper that the city feels stuck, not declining dramatically, but not moving forward either. Dundee still has potential, no doubt. But without consistent investment and a reason for young talent to stay, the city risks slipping into cultural hibernation. A place that once reinvented itself might be on the verge of needing another reinvention, fast, before silence replaces its ambition. Number 4. Hull, Kingston upon Hull, England. Hull was once a titan of British trade, its ports connecting the UK to the world. In wartime, it was a critical hub. In peacetime, it thrived on fishing, shipping, and industry. But in 2025, Hull is facing an identity crisis. The city received a brief spotlight in 2017 when it was named the UK City of Culture. There were murals, music, investment. It felt like a turning point. But 8 years later, much of that momentum has vanished. Cultural tourism dipped. Businesses that opened for the wave of visitors have shuttered. And the promised transformation, it never fully materialized. One of Hull's core problems is connectivity, or the lack of it. It's isolated by geography and underserved by transport infrastructure. For companies, that means higher costs. For individuals, it means fewer opportunities and longer journeys just to access basic amenities. Unemployment is creeping back up, and young professionals are leaving in droves for cities with more energy and access. Students rarely stay after graduating, and those who remain often feel stuck between economic hardship and lack of upward mobility. This exodus is reflected in Hull's housing landscape. Entire streets of terrace houses sit half-occupied. Flats go unlisted for months. And landlords face mounting costs for properties no one wants to rent. The demand has thinned, but the supply keeps growing, a dangerous imbalance. Meanwhile, retail is suffering. Independent shops have closed, replaced by discount stores or, worse, nothing at all. The heart of Hull's city centre beats slower each year. Public spaces feel empty. Cafes close early. Hull isn't crumbling in plain sight. It's quietly being hollowed out. There's still pride here, still history, still hope. But unless its core challenges are addressed, the city risks drifting further into irrelevance. A port city with nowhere to sail, waiting for a tide that may never return. Number 3. Middlesbrough, England. If there's one city that symbolizes the slow, painful grind of economic erosion, it's Middlesbrough. Located in North Yorkshire, Middlesbrough has long battled against the tide. Once a hub of iron, steel and chemicals, its skyline shaped by smokestacks and industry, the city has been shedding jobs and people for decades. In 2025, that decline hasn't stopped. It's deepened. Walk through parts of the city and you'll notice it instantly. Shuttered shops, long stretches of terraced homes with no lights on, graffiti that hasn't been painted over in years. It's not neglect, it's exhaustion. Entire neighbourhoods feel like they've fallen off the national radar. Middlesbrough has one of the highest rates of deprivation in England. Poverty is entrenched, public services are stretched thin. The job market is limited and investment rarely trickles down. Many young people don't wait around, they leave. The ones who stay often feel forgotten, stuck in a place they can't afford to fix and can't afford to leave. Housing stock tells a clear story. Many homes are aging, energy inefficient and difficult to sell. Prices are low, but demand is even lower. Landlords offload properties for pennies. Streets that once housed proud working families now feel ghostly, even in daylight. There have been attempts to inject life, retail parks, education initiatives, digital training hubs, but without lasting industry or infrastructure, they struggle to stick. It's like trying to plant a tree in shallow soil. And then there's perception. Middlesbrough often gets left out of northern revival narratives. It's not Leeds, it's not Manchester, it's not even Newcastle. The city's name rarely makes headlines, and when it does, it's usually for the wrong reasons. But behind all this is a community still trying, a city still holding on. Middlesbrough hasn't given up, but if nothing changes, more people will. And that's how a city becomes a ghost town. Not with a bang, but with a quiet, steady fade. Number 2. Stoke-on-Trent, England. Stoke-on-Trent, the Potteries, a city built on clay, creativity and craftsmanship. But the kiln fires have long gone cold, and what's left is a city struggling to reshape its future. Stoke was once the global capital of ceramics. Its pottery industry made it famous. Generations worked in the kilns, and the city's name was stamped on teacups from London to New York. But those days are history now, and so far, nothing has stepped up to fill the void. The decline hasn't been dramatic, it's been steady, subtle. Industry left, opportunities dried up, people moved on. In 2025, the challenges are layered. Poor transport links, underfunded services, and a fractured local economy that can't seem to find a rhythm. Many of Stoke's districts feel forgotten. Town centres are patchy, some alive, some half abandoned. There's no consistency. Walk a mile and go from vibrant to vacant. That patchwork decline makes recovery difficult. It's like a jigsaw puzzle missing critical pieces. The housing situation mirrors the economic drift. There are plenty of homes, but not enough demand. Prices are stagnant. Young families move to nearby hubs like Manchester or Birmingham, leaving behind aging populations and underused infrastructure. Many properties linger on the market for months, sometimes years, without serious interest. Education outcomes are low, employment rates are fragile. Regeneration projects start with promise, then fade quietly, one council term at a time. It's not that Stoke isn't trying, it's that the odds keep stacking against it. Even the pride locals feel, and there's plenty of it, is tinged with frustration. There's history here, talent, resilience, but also a fear that the city is being passed over again and again. In a city that once shaped the world's dinner tables, the question now is simple. Can Stoke-on-Trent fire itself back up? Or is it cooling into permanent silence? Number 1. Blackpool, England. Blackpool, a name once synonymous with seaside holidays, neon lights, and childhood memories. But in 2025, it's making headlines for a much darker reason. It's quietly becoming one of the UK's most fragile cities. There was a time when millions flocked to Blackpool every summer. The Tower, the Pleasure Beach, the piers, all symbols of British leisure. But the tourism boom faded, and what remained didn't evolve. Today, Blackpool is caught in a dangerous cycle of decline, dependency, and decay. The statistics are sobering. Blackpool has some of the highest rates of child poverty and addiction in the UK. Mental health services are stretched. The local economy relies heavily on seasonal work, which leaves thousands unemployed for much of the year. And while visitors still come, they don't stay long, or spend much. What makes Blackpool's decline especially tragic is that it's so visible. Empty guest houses line streets just a block away from tourist hotspots. Behind the flashing lights, entire neighbourhoods are deteriorating. Some homes are converted into low-cost accommodation. Others are abandoned completely. The housing market is chaotic. Investors buy cheap properties for quick rentals, often with little maintenance. Residents move constantly. Stability is rare. Community is fragile. And as services pull out, the city feels more and more isolated, not just geographically, but socially. The sense of pride is being replaced with quiet resignation. Regeneration efforts have come in waves, but never seem to stick. For every new project, there's an old promise unfulfilled. And the longer the decay is allowed to continue, the harder it becomes to reverse. Hope fades a little more with each passing year. Blackpool isn't just declining, it's at risk of being forgotten. A city built for joy now struggling to survive. The question isn't just what happened to Blackpool. It's what will be left if nothing changes. What's happening in these cities isn't just statistics. It's real lives, real homes, quietly disappearing. If your town is seeing signs like these, drop a comment and share your story. We truly want to hear from you. And if you found this eye-opening, check out our last video on the UK's hidden housing bubble. It's closer than you think. We pour everything into these videos. Your one click to subscribe means the world.